And this brings me to, you're talking about Pro Presenter, the visuals. And I have been thinking, especially over the last, I'd say 2 months, how important every little detail matters. And so visual, however, is just one of the things. So I wanted to talk about different things that we think about, not necessarily giving you the answers on how you should do it, but the things that we should be questioning, the things that we should be talking about. And most of us have a certain amount of senses, 5 senses, sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste. And I think as leaders, the way that we want to attract, the way we want to connect with people, so that ultimately we can connect more and more people to Jesus, we have to be thinking about all the different ways. If you go into a Bath and Body Works store, you're going to instantly smell what they're trying to sell. And it's going to hit you the second, you probably from feet away from that store entrance, right? If you, if you go to a Disneyland or something like that, they're really appealing to your sight, to the touch sensory, because they know that that's how they'll connect with you, right? How to get especially your children excited. And so as church leaders, just leaders in general, this doesn't even have to be just church. We have to think about how are we connecting with people. Yeah. And so I just want to talk through a little bit about what we've been talking about, what we've been doing, what I've been processing, and different ways that we've used that to connect with more people over the last, forever, but especially these last few months. So I was thinking about sight, and we're going to go through this in a couple different ways. But as John talked, we'll be doing a tour of our new worship space in the next week or two, show you kind of the nitty gritty, the connections, the software, the hardware, all of that. But it's been really neat because we got to build this fresh, right? We got to design it. We weren't working with something that was already existing. This is a brand new space added on to our church. And so things that we talk about, Pro Presenter, that's why we have a course out on it. That you can purchase and use to learn about Pro Presenter. But visuals are so important. How are people getting the words? How can they sing with? How can they connect to the sermon and learn and question and grow together as the church? It's those screens. Everything we do for that is to connect them more with Jesus. In this worship space, we have lights and smoke. So there is a lot of design that goes into it. We got to choose the colors of the chairs, everything, how we see things. So that's sight and sound. Obviously, we have done many different videos like this on how to choose music, what kind of music. And we at Calvary, we do both. We have more traditional music and we have more modern music. What is connecting with people more? It is definitely the more modern music. And this is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. It's not just because it's the cool, new, hip thing to do, but I was just looking, I did just a simple Google search, but traditional music comes from kind of classical literature, right? And I did a search of how many Americans listen to classical music, and it was 35%. So 35%, if you think of your congregation, or not even your congregation, your community, 35% of them listen to classical music. But then the question breaks down even further. How many of them just have it on as background music, not paying attention, not necessarily, it's to calm them, it's to put them to sleep, right? What is the purpose? There's a large percentage, probably 20%, that listen to it in the background or for calming or something like that, which has a purpose, right? But there's so many churches that is 100% of their music selection is classical traditional music. And so if you're only appealing to 35 at the most, but probably more like 20, 15, 10% of people, which changes where you're at, what you're trying to attract, that makes a huge difference, right? Versus I looked up pop music. What is popular today? And that was 68 to 70% of people. And I don't know about you, but I don't put pop music on in the background so that I can fall asleep, right? It's something that people are searching out because that's what they listen to.
Yeah.
So that is a way that we can connect with people, and not just the music that is played or that is specifically to worship to, right? We've got hymns, we've got modern music, and everything kind of in between. But also, what do people hear when they come into your worship service? What do they hear when they leave? Some people do the songs that they're doing during worship. Some people have special music. I played a Beethoven piece a couple of weeks ago in the traditional service, and it was beautiful, and I loved it. I'm one of the 10% who actually listens to classical music. So I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm one of those. That is me. I love that, but I'm not the one I'm trying to attract to church. I'm trying to attract new people. I'm trying to attract people who don't go to church, the people who don't know about the life-changing love and grace of Jesus. And so that's why that is so important. Touch. I don't have all the answers, obviously, but I was just thinking about what is the material that they're sitting on? What is, like, there's just a lot of different things that you could think about in there. And there's the people who watch these videos, the leaders in churches, are much smarter than I am. I just think of the questions, or what matters. How can you engage the touch? Smell. Does it smell like an old church? That could turn people off. I was at a wedding last summer, and it was one of the bigger churches in the community. And the second that I walked in that building, it smelled weird. I had to go to the bathroom. Sorry, TMI. It was disgusting. It looked gross. It was dingy and dark and scary. And there's stuff all over the walls that did nothing for me as somebody who was trying to connect with that church at that time. So touch, smell, and then taste. And there's not a lot of things we taste at church, but if you have disgusting communion, maybe there's a way to spice that up. I don't know. Like I said, I don't have all the answers, but I think that it's important to think about the things, because everything we do matters.
Yeah.
What we do with little, we do with much, right? So we have to lead with intention so that we can lead more and more people to a lifelong faith in Jesus.
Yeah.
So what brought me to think about this even more as of late, not just church, not just worship services, I should say. We did an event in December. It was a Night for Weary Hearts. This was in our worship center. And this was for people who have lost. It could have been an immediate loss. They've lost somebody in the last year or two, and they don't have those people around for Christmas, which is super hard. But it could also be a loss of a job. It could be a loss of a lifestyle that we had prior to COVID. It could be a loss of a friend over politics. It could be a loss of many things. And so we had this worship service, and I was thinking about how in maybe some different worship services, I would have upbeat, energetic music. I would have lots of color, lots of light. But we wanted to create an atmosphere that would connect with people and help engage those senses, help the vulnerability of people so that they could learn more from that service, so that they could connect more to what we were working on presenting. And so we did very blue lights. We had tables. We had, so for touch, taste, and smell, candles. We had little treats. We had pamphlets that had prayers and meditations on it. The music that I selected for the service was very meaningful. It connected with the message, with the talk that happened that day. As they walked in, I had, rather than joy to the world, the Lord has come, all upbeat, I searched for 20 different songs that would fit that feel. So the second they got into that place, instantly everything connects to where we're going. And it's not that it didn't have hope in the music. It wasn't hopeless music. It was energetic. It just wasn't upbeat. It wasn't necessarily exciting. It was
Yeah, just deep
Right. It
Meaningful,
created that
lyrical.
feeling. Yeah. The color, the dark blue, the candles, all of that pointed in one direction.
Yeah.
And so, do you have, John, I sent you a couple pictures of our worship space. This isn't in this event. This is from Christmas time in December, Advent, Christmas. We'll do the worship space so you can kind of see how we use color, light, positioning of things, at least for the site.
In the worship center?
Yep. So this is a light design that I set up. You can see there tons of people. We have some modern Christmas trees. Everything we do, even you can even see the ceiling tiles on top, how it's an open ceiling, but the closer you get, how the ceiling tiles, which helps with the acoustics, but it brings all of your focus into the front there. So whether it's the worship leader or the pastor or the person doing announcements or the person talking about community events or how we can help people in our community, all of your attention is going there. We did that intentionally, right? Do you have the other one? I just think it's super fun, so I love it.
Yeah.
In the worship space there. That one. So you can see a little bit closer. We've got video behind us, so people can watch. You see a lot of color in the screens. He rules the world. It's exciting. The candles, the poinsettias, everything was intentional to bring out the joy, the excitement of that Christmas time. So one of the questions that you might have is, well, I don't have a $4 million worship space. How am I supposed to do that? And we've got one more picture on site on how we dressed up our old sanctuary. At least, I should know the age of our sanctuary. It's old, right? How we used light, how we used a manger, how we used Christmas trees. You can't change the structure, but you can change the atmosphere. You can bring the lights down. You can add some backlights. Those backlights, some of them that I was using were like $30 for those cans. It's not expensive. It's not crazy what you have to do to create that. But then also thinking about all the different things. Some people like smells, and some people are allergic to smells. Some people are sensitive to smells. So you have to research and figure out how can you do it? How can you freshen up an old sanctuary? How can you attract people? There are some churches, maybe not in the upper Midwest where we're at, maybe there are, but actually have certain scents that they pipe into the worship spaces to get people to connect more. And that, again, might turn some people off, but it's something to look into. It's something to think about. So not everyone can spend millions, but everything that you do now matters, and everything has intention. And if you start with these simple little tools that you can find that can engage people's sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste, it's going to start growing. If you put intention behind things, there will be growth. And then maybe you will have a need to build a new building or to have a building project to house more people. It's crazy that we're still in the first year of having this new building and we're already outgrowing it. And there's a lot of things that go into that, but I can tell you every single thing that we do has intention behind it.
Nolan, can you tell us about some of the steps you took? I still have the sanctuary photo up. Can you talk about some of the steps you went to get to kind of where this picture is? I mean, from were those screens always hanging up front? And I know you talked about the lighting already, which is awesome. I think that looks gorgeous. But talk a little bit about those visuals and the screens.
Yeah, so we have 3 screens up front. They're all connected to the same source, so they're all doing the same thing. But they're just TVs. We actually replaced them since then because they died. These were the ones on the walls are like 15-year-old plasma TVs. And so when we took them down from up there, it was very difficult because they're all 300-pound TVs. I'm surprised I'm still alive, to be honest. But after that, we were waiting for a sale, And whether it was Black Friday or whatever, like we waited for a big sale and bought these nice big TVs. I think the ones we have now are 75-inch and they're like $500. Yeah, there's a little bit of work to get them into the stone walls. Not everybody has stone walls, but there are people probably in your congregation, and if not your congregation, at least your community, who can help you with that. The wiring, not necessarily easy, but it's not crazy either. Pro Presenter, again, is the source that we put all of our stuff together. We have a course that you can check out. What, $30, 40?
Yeah, 39 and 40, I think. Yeah, 39.
$39. At least 10 videos on start to finish, everything you need to know. You can always call, email, text us to help with the consultation of how to set that up, best practices, how we use that. That's the call that John was talking about later that he's doing. But just the ability, I know that there's some people who like to look at hymnals. I am a person who likes to put in harmonies. I like to read what's going on so that I can put those harmonies in. But from a leadership standpoint, again, if your head is up to the screens, up to see the words there instead of down, you are more open just physically to receive. That's just a human energy kind of thing. When you're open to receive, you can receive more, but also you can focus more on the preaching, on the music, on the message that is happening at the time. And this is from 2 years ago. You can see the band in the corner, but we've made changes since then too. And we didn't want to have a lot of conflicting things. That's something that we talk about a lot too. We have a lot up, but just making sure that it's simple and nice rather than this color here and this color there. The blue and purple was for kind of the mood of the Christmas story that we were talking about. And then I built screens that would match, the colors in the screens would match the color of the sanctuary as well. So all of those things are things that we think about when we're designing everything. And this is in an old sanctuary with old gear that we made work. And how do we think about all this? Where does it come from? We launch and we think of everything through the lens of our mission and vision, to connect all people to a lifelong faith in Jesus. And that the faith life of the next generation means everything. Those are two huge things that we think about. And so that is what we're talking about. That's where we start the conversation. If it doesn't have anything to do with those things, then we're probably not going to do it. But I think so often in our life, if we don't have a mission, a vision that's white hot, we try to launch off of pain. We launch off of events. And so many churches are launching off of, we're dying. And often it's too late by time people make those decisions to save that ministry. And I don't know about you, but if you have one person coming to your ministry, it is making a difference in one person's life. And who knows what that one person will do because of that. Right. So every single person who is in ministry should be making choices to at least try things, to launch from, so that we can lead more people to a lifelong faith in Jesus. But the little things that you do that you can control right now are going to get you to the next level. And then you do the same thing. What is the little things in the next context? That'll grow you to the next level. Then what are the little things that you can do? It's not going from where you are right now to having a worship center with lights and fog and expensive tech. It's where are you now? What is the next best thing? It's like I'm in a Frozen movie. What is the next best thing that you can do? Into the unknown, something like that. I don't know. I'm probably wrong, but that's those. We didn't start where we're at now. It took little, almost painful steps each and every day. And now we're where we're at. And what are we doing? Those little painful steps that sometimes seems like we're beating a dead horse, but it makes a difference. And that is why we're growing. And that's why our church is changing. And that is why our community is changing. And that is how we can change the world together.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. No, that's really helpful, Nolan. From experience as a worship director for many years, I found myself putting little changes on such a pedestal where I'd get so nervous about it. And a lot of times it was because you want to be a good steward of the money.
Right.
You have a budget. You want to spend church money wisely and do your research and have your conversations. It also means that you're changing things that were once very normal and comfortable to somebody. I'm going to pull up this picture one more time, because the first time I visited Calvary, it did not look like that at all. I mean, there weren't lights, there weren't ProPresenter up there. Like none of that was happening. You'd walk in, it was a bright space, very traditional feeling, which has its value as well. And just knowing that there were a lot of conversations behind the scenes. There was a lot of getting really strong on the mission and the why we're doing what we're doing. We're not just doing it to change. But having those conversations and just being very open about it, doing the research, developing relationships with those who have done it. For me, it was knowing that I wasn't alone. I needed to find other people that were trying to do the same things and were white hot on mission. And it's really fun to kind of hear the Calvary story in that sense. So this is great. Thanks for sharing all this, Nolan.
Yeah. Well, and just to reiterate, there is nothing wrong with a traditional service. There is nothing wrong with organ-led music. I am the organist. I'm very passionate. I spend hours a week practicing that music because it means a lot to me. And the 100, 200 people who show up for that service are so important. This is not about saying no to what you've done just to do something new. This is about what else can you do, or how can you add or try new things to see who can connect to. And there will be pushback too when you do those things, right? But you have to remember who you are doing these things for, which is all people. So sometimes the pushback is, well, you're doing so much of this modern music. And then the argument can be that you don't care about these. Well, no, we care about all people. Or you can switch it around. Well, you're doing this stuff when more people are coming to this. Well, we're doing it for all people. So just having those conversations and thinking through those things. Because church life will not look like it does right now in 10 years. Even with everything we have done at Calvary in the last 2 years, the new space, the new technology, trying all these things, I still think we're 20 years behind society. The music that we choose at the modern service, it's still 20 years old half the time. We're still not there, right? And
usually, this is funny that you say it, because just this week you did a classic contemporary tune in worship, and I was doing tech, and the visual guy looked at me and he's like, "Isn't this a really old song?" I was like,
"The God of Wonders."
Really
that was 2004.
Right.
Third Day. That was one of their. It was their third album. Day album, but
beautiful song, gorgeous song. I just sorry, I laughed when you just,
and it connected perfectly with the message, because we're talking about the God of the universe. We're talking about science and religion and faith and God and how they all come together. And God of Wonders, the universe displays your majesty. It just went perfectly. So that again just shows, I went to an older song, not a 100 or 500-year-old song, but a 20-year-old song, because it connected to the message. It was intentional. So that was just 3 days ago.
Right.
So just the intention is always there. What did I do? I had the lights streaming stars around, because that atmosphere makes a difference, right? I had kind of universe backgrounds on the screens. I had the lights were kind of a dark blue, purple, black, not black, but because I can't do that necessarily, but it all went into the God of the universe. Like it was all just so intentional. And that was one of 4 or 5 songs, and the message it all just pointed in one direction.
Right.
So I think that's,
no, it was awesome. It felt very intentional. Yeah. Baby steps. Like you said, it's those small steps, right? I mean, it certainly didn't happen overnight. But because of that, you didn't let that scare you. And you definitely had moments, as we all do. That's just life, right? Where we know something needs to change or shift or grow, and we feel the call to change, shift, and grow that thing. We just know that it takes research, it takes conversations, it takes an openness, it takes just a white hot focus on mission and the why we do it. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I think we're ending up here, but just so everybody knows, like John said at the beginning of this video, we will be doing a tech tour behind the scenes of our new worship space. That is not just for people with new worship spaces. This is something you can add to what you are working on now, or at least get ideas of what is possible.
Yeah.
The streaming ability, the way that we give a window into our worship, into our universe, so people around the world can worship with us. People around the world can connect to Jesus in a new way, just using the tools that we have in this day and age. So,
how many videos, Nolan, when you were working on either your sanctuary or as you were starting a new building campaign, how many videos would you say you watched of other church tech tours?
Hundreds.
And why? Yeah, exactly.
Well, I can't
just
sleep.
Get ideas.
Yeah,
right. I know.
You have to. And that's why we're here. Rather than you then going to watch hundreds of tech tours or hundreds of tutorial videos that contradict each other. We've done that work for you. We've done that time for you. We've gone through that pain for you. So we are here one-on-one, two-on-one, whatever it looks like, through consultation. We've got videos, video classes, coursework that you can purchase for very, very cheap to learn how to do it as well, so that we're in your back pocket all the time, that you can watch and rewatch and rewatch. All again, just so you can be as intentional as you can be, for as cheap as you can be. For cheap is a bad, maybe not the great word, resourceful, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Cost-friendly ways for you to get intentional about what you do, so you can reach more and more people.
Yeah.
Awesome. So again, check out our Facebook, like us, subscribe on YouTube, Red River Leadership, and go to our website. Do you want to show that quick?
Yes.
I think visually, just appealing to people's senses here, John.
That's right. You're talking about Red River Leadership?
Yes, sir. Just the different ways that you can connect with us, get a hold of us. We are here to help. Because for John and I, just working in our churches is wonderful. We're making a huge impact, but we want to help you make an impact too. We don't want to stop at us. We want to go out into the world. So redriverleadership.com. Here's our courses. John is working on an online course, and I am working on a guitar for worship, or just in general course. 10, 20 videos on how you can go from not knowing how to play guitar to knowing how to lead worship for guitar, for yourself, for other people who want to do that, and so many more that are coming as well.